This episode is brought to you by Blood Lubricants. Blood carries a high-performance line of synthetic racing oils, and they've got you covered for all sorts of dirt racing applications. Engine oils, gear oils, suspension fluid cleaning products, you name it, they've got it. And these aren't bargain basement oils and lubricants. This is high-quality stuff. Danny Dietrich grabbed 13 wins in 2020 running the Blood Racing Pro Series engine oil in his 410 engine. It's hard to argue with race-winning performance. They've got a great racer support program that offers discounts on products plus free swag, and they support hundreds of racers across many divisions throughout the country. To check out the support program, find out more information, or to buy, visit bloodlubricants.com. That's BLUD lubricants.com. If you'd like to receive 25% off most products, use code DIRT at checkout. That's DIRT, all caps, at checkout. Joining me on DIRTRACKR Conversations, I guess we'll call you Ohio late model racer, Ryan Missler. But from there, obviously the YouTube channel is big. Your racing is obviously kind of vital to all of this. But I kind of want to start with, somebody like yourself. You're not a professional racer. You're not racing to feed your family. So let's get started with your kind of job outside of racing. And what do you do to make ends meet, and how do you kind of make all of this work for your family?
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Justin. I appreciate it. I own a machine shop. My dad started a CNC machining business back in the late 80s, and I worked for him through high school, and after high school I continued that, and I worked for him for 17 years, and then 2 years ago I took over the business, purchased it from my father, and so the last 2 years, that's basically what my main focus has been between working there and keeping that going and making the payments to the bank and making rent payments and keeping customers happy, to being there for my family and doing a little racing on the side.
What kind of customers do you have with the machine shop business? What kind of work do you do in there?
So we have several pieces of CNC equipment. So there's, if people know the terms, mills, milling machines, turning centers, lathes, surface grinders. We make basically any small to medium-sized parts out of metal. We can make it.
Cool. And in watching your videos, you're kind of in a unique situation where the shop is where your house is. And watching you kind of walk through the woods, from your house to the race shop, and you're able to kind of run the race car, from the shop to the house, things like that. But how did it end up like that, where the house and the shop are so close together?
Well, where I grew up, the machine shop is on the property where I grew up. And then when it came to a time where we were looking for places to build a house or buy a house, there was property, kind of a small housing development that just so happened to be right next to the property that I grew up on. So we purchased a lot and built a house on the property that butts right up to my father's property. Nice. So I can just walk right, get out of bed and get ready and walk right down the hill to the machine shop.
Nice. I want to ask you, obviously, then about your racing and how you get started, running the late model and in kind of watching your shows. You race for a while, then you kind of take a break, and then you come back. But kind of walk me through your racing career, from when you got started to kind of where we are today.
I started as a fan as a child. My dad took me to the racetrack at Attica and watched sprint cars and street stocks and that sort of thing. And then in my teen years, I started racing go-karts and raced those for several seasons. And Dad got into building the engines for those. And so that was cool. And then 2004, we had friends of the family that had a limited late model. I was racing at Attica mainly. And I inquired about hot lapping and taking it for a spin. So I got to do that, and that was awesome. And it just snowballed from there. I got my first limited late model in 2004 and started racing that for several seasons at Attica until that division kind of morphed into the division that it is today, the super late models at Attica. And so I've been racing supers since 2009. And so that's where we're at.
Why, why I know at some point you create a video where you talk about it, maybe it was on your website, where you talk about that you took a break for racing for a while and then came back to it. Why the break and then why coming back?
Well, it was 2000 and I think 15 season. We had won championships at Attica from 09 to 13, five championships in a row. And not to say that we were the dominating car at all, but we just were consistent and we won those. And then seasons after that, it just got to the point where we weren't winning and we weren't running good. And it was just basically doing the work, basically how I felt, for nothing. So it just got to be where it was more of a second job every night in the race shop and not having fun. So we had our third kid, Oliver, in the beginning of 2016, and he was having some health issues there after a few months after being born. And I wasn't even thinking about racing, and we didn't race at all. And until Oliver got better, and we had the guy I raced with, Jerry, he put a car together without any of my help or anything. And he said, "Hey, I know you didn't want to race at all. Your focus wasn't that." He said, "But I got this car, and all we really got to do is, get it fired up and take it to the track. It's pretty much ready to go." So I raced for two nights at the end of the 2016 season. And that, just being able to take focus off of racing and everything and focus on the family. And I think I just needed that break. And then coming back, it was fun again for whatever reason. We can make things like work, or more so make things like we're not enjoying them. That's ourselves not enjoying it. It's not the outside affecting you. It's you making yourself not enjoy it, if that makes sense. So I guess I just need to take a break to refocus and just go into it with a new attitude to potentially just make it fun again, and do it. So we didn't race as much. In 2017, we just went into it. We weren't going to run for points anywhere. We were just going to go out to win races and race here and there, and not race 2-3 times, a week, just pick and choose. And it was fun again. And in the mix of all that, that's when we started doing the YouTube videos, was at the beginning of the 2017 season. So it's just an idea that I had that I seen, not in racing. There wasn't really anybody really doing that yet that I could tell. There was some like very well done feature films of different drivers and stuff that some guys were doing, but there wasn't anything like behind the scenes so I got the idea and I pitched it to one of my buddy's sons who was in high school he was doing some filming for high school, just like sports and stuff. And I said, "Hey, Christian, what do you say we just, you follow me around with a camera for a while and we'll make some YouTube videos." And that's how it all started.
I definitely want to come back to the YouTube channel, but I kind of want to ask you some more stuff about your racing in terms of, when you're running at Attica regularly for championships, you're working in the machine shop, do you think that it's, trying to kind of do all of these things at the same time, did they maybe kind of lead to that burnout a little bit, trying to have the family work in the machine shop and still be able to get the racetrack, every week?
Oh, yeah, definitely. See, I wasn't owner of the machine shop at that time, so it wasn't super or the work environment wasn't super stressful there. But definitely what led to a lot of it, I think, was just every night having to go to the race shop, and eating supper, telling the kids goodbye, telling the wife goodbye, and going to the race shop and not getting to tuck my kids in the bed at night, and just a lot of little things like that compounded, and not winning, and it just, a lot of stuff going on, and not really asking yourself or taking into perspective what you really want out of anything that you're doing, So yeah, it's definitely a lot of spinning your wheels and not really accomplishing anything, doing too much.
One of the things that I don't know if people even realize, especially for somebody like yourself who's not racing professionally, is, all of the sacrifices that kind of need to be made across the board. And for you, how important is it to have the support of your wife, to have the support of your dad, to have your kids around? Like, how important is that for somebody like you?
It's huge. If my wife, fought me every time that I wanted to work on a race car or go racing, or she didn't want to go with me, that would be, devastating. I probably wouldn't be racing. And same way with my dad, always encouraging me, always, he took me to the track as a young kid when I was, begging him to take me, and he took me, and then getting started, he housed the late models, in the back room of the machine shop for years, and sacrificing there too. So it's like a perfect storm. You got to have that support, otherwise you're not going to be successful at it, or you're not even going to do it at all.
The other thing I want to ask you about is your choice of race cars. Coming up at Attica, Attica and Fremont, a lot of these Ohio racetracks is really good 410 sprint car country. So why a late model and not a sprint car?
Well, I asked myself that a lot too. If there was probably a sprint car team that was local to me, or that were friends of the family, like I said, if there was a sprint car team, I probably would have went that route. But the people I'm speaking of are the Boris family. They promote Attica, or John Boris promotes Attica. And it was him that was running the limited late model, and his son had just started racing them too. So if it weren't for them and me hanging out at their shop and doing that, if it was a sprint car in that situation, it probably would have been a sprint car. But in that case, it was a late model.
Since you are a late model driver, what is it about the late model that you like? Is it the way it drives? Is it the way the racing is? What attracts you to the late model?
I guess it's just what I've always raced. And to me, it's definitely, now that I'm a father, and I got a lot on my plate, it seems to me like it's a lot safer. I know you can get hurt in anything, drivers get hurt and everything. But it's definitely pretty stout, around where our cockpits are, and safety's come a long way on all race cars. But I don't know what particularly attracts me to it. It's just the more that you're around something, the more that you get involved in that, the vision. So I guess it's just what I've been around the most.
Do you think that working in the machine shop and having the skills that you have with that, that type of machinery and welding and metal, do you think that helps you as now a late model owner, but as a driver and somebody who's working on these cars all the time?
Yeah, it helps financially for sure. Whereas I could, if I had endless pockets or endless supply of cash, I could, call Rocket Chassis and they could send me anything that I wanted for that car. But, in the midst of the season, it saves me time too. In the midst of the season, I can go down to the shop and fix something instead of calling and ordering a new part. I can maybe fix, this body panel or this brace or the bumper or something, and probably understand more of fits and threads and, all types of stuff that's on the car better than somebody that maybe doesn't have access to, being a machinist or a fabricator or something.
Back to the YouTube channel. So, you started up in 2017 and, you want to show behind the scenes stuff. Was there a channel or was there inspiration? Was there somebody you looked at and said, I kind of want to do what they're doing, even if it was in a different sport or, a different, whether it was entertainment or something like that, was there something that you looked at and was like kind of almost like aspirational that you wanted your channel to kind of look like that?
There was two guys. There was Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's not anything to do with racing at all.
Yep.
But he's more of a digital marketing guy, and an inspirational guy. He's got his head on straight and stuff. And he was doing, vlog style, daily videos and stuff. And then he had a personal trainer that also did them too, Mike Vacanti. So that was the first two guys that I looked at, or that I was watching, and where I got the idea from, but the initial idea, I should say.
What was your equipment like in the beginning? Like, what kind of camera were you using? And I know you said you had some help, from somebody else in Christian, but like, what were you kind of doing technology wise to make this stuff happen then?
I said, Christian, we should probably get a video camera. We had always, way back through the go-kart days, we filmed with just a flip open video camera. We filmed, or my father-in-law or whoever had the camera, mainly my father-in-law, would video, every race that I was in. Never did any, me talking to the camera. It was just the videos. And that's what we had at first, was a camera just like that, and the quality wasn't very good. I look back at them now, and they're grainy, and they're not very big on the YouTube screen size. And, we just started because we wanted to, and I did have, right. See, I don't know if I did have a GoPro or something in 2017, but it definitely wasn't the latest and greatest. That's for sure.
How long, you start putting videos up, were people watching them immediately? I mean, how long did it kind of take before you realized that people were actually like maybe kind of paying attention to this thing?
We would upload them onto Facebook and YouTube, and dude, our YouTube views at the beginning were like minuscule. It was pitiful. Like, I didn't even want to tell anybody we were doing it. and Facebook, it kind of sort of took off at first, but I don't know if that was Facebook's numbers kind of exaggerating. I don't know, but it took, I swear we hovered around like between 50 subscribers and 250 subscribers for 2 years, I bet, on YouTube.
And then, was there like kind of a tipping point? Was there, did somebody like at the racetrack start realizing you were doing this? At what point did this thing kind of start gaining some traction?
We went and raced down in Mansfield at the Dirt Million last year in 2019. And I raced all 3 nights there. We posted 3 videos, and those were our best videos. I wouldn't say they're the most view count to date, but they had traction right away. And that was kind of the tipping point, probably when we started to gain some subscribers in some decent numbers. And then right after that, we followed up. We went to Eldora to the World 100, but we didn't race. We were supposed to, but things happened and we didn't race. But we went down there and we created a video of just the racing and walk around the pits and talking to different guys. And we met the Hunt the Front guys down there too. And just had a little blurb of them in our video, and we put that in the title, and that helped a lot too. And before that, I should say that Jonathan Joyner shouted us out on one of his videos, one of the Hunt the Front videos. I sent him a shirt and he shouted us out, and they were just then starting to take off when he did that. So probably, this is like late 2019 racing season is when the tipping point was. So that's like 2.5 years, basically, 3 racing seasons before it actually, started to go.
Is there a point where you're like, out in the garage with the camera and your wife's off to the side, and like where you guys are like, what are we doing? Why are we doing these videos? This doesn't seem to make any sense.
All the time. Yeah, like we say that it's both sides of the coin. You're always in your own head saying, who the hell wants to watch this shit? And then the other side is like, man, somebody would really get a kick out of, watching me do this, so there's always the angel and the devil, are on your shoulders, talking in your ears, but yeah, there's definitely, there's doubts all the time. You just gotta do it. And then once you do it and you get it done, you put out a video or you film that segment or whatever, you feel better.
Is there a point where you start feeling comfortable on camera? Is there a point where, you finally have some ideas flowing about what you want to do on camera? How kind of long does that take for you to, kind of start getting that rolling?
It definitely helps if I'm in the groove, like doing videos consistently on a daily basis or every other day or something. When I take a couple weeks off, like I have this off season, it's very hard to get back in the flow of what do I say and make it not tell myself that you sound dumb, or that just, so yeah, I would say consistency, is a big deal, with doing it. So the more you think about something, the more you do something, the better it's going to be when your sole focus is on that. And not to make an excuse, but I have the machine shop like I talked about earlier, and I'll do that all day. And then I'll get in my head and I won't want to do the videos at night on the race car. And then it just cycles that way. And then, so my focus was on, doing this job in the shop and might not even focus at all on the video. So it definitely helps to have one thing to focus on and just go, but I've never been that way. I'm more of a I want to say in a negative light, but it's more like I'm like a scatterbrain.
As somebody who's created, a ton of content, I certainly understand the plight. And one of the things that always kind of was interesting, frustrating, sometimes cool was, you would put something out and you would think, oh, nobody's going to watch this. And then all of a sudden everybody watches it. And then vice versa. When you put something out and you're like, everybody's going to love this. And then like everyone hates it or something like along those lines. Do you have those moments? Do you have those moments in your mind where you put something out and you didn't think it would do that well? And then all of a sudden it does well?
Yeah. We did a video about 3 weeks ago. We took our car to Rocket and had some work done on it. And we took the camera, and if my wife wouldn't have went with me, I wouldn't have filmed anything. But she had it, and she's always, which is a good thing, she's always pushing me, you should do this, you should do this. And I'm like, nobody wants that. That's not how I want it to be, so I'm just not even going to do it. And so that Rocket video we did, I just titled it A Tour of Rocket Racing. And that was our best video to date. It wasn't really anything, special. It just, we got a tour and we were just held the camera up while we got to tour, but now looking back, I'll say, well, I've been here plenty of times. There ain't nothing, it's cool to go to Rocket, but it's not like, I didn't think it was worthy of a video, of all the shop. But then looking back, like everybody that watches the channel, there's probably only a handful of guys that have been there before. Everybody else don't even know what it's like to go down there. So I think that's why it had so much traction, because not, the average fan just can't go in there and say, give me a tour. They're not going to get that. So yeah, I have those moments.
I think, the interesting for me, watching that video and knowing what I know about the Richards and Rocket, and something that I'm kind of curious with you about too is, the late model world it's like everything is a secret. We're covering up, hubs, we're covering up the back of the car. We don't want anybody to see anything. And so like, someone like you who has the camera everywhere around the car, you're not hiding things, how big of a deal is that for you? And I'm sure you get asked about it quite a lot, about, your secrets and not unveiling that type of stuff. But like, why is it important for you to show everything that goes on?
Because that gets back to the point of why I wanted to do this in the first place. Was I asked myself, or ask yourself, that I ask you this question: if you could be in any racer's shop as a crew guy, or just to sit there and shoot the shit with them, with your favorite sprint car driver, your favorite late model driver, you would do that in a heartbeat. So I want to take everybody behind the scenes and show everybody everything, just like they were part of. If they were just sitting there, with me, I'd talk to the camera just like if they were there with me. So that's why I started the videos, was for that reason right there.
And you know, in going through the Richard shop, and it's such a fun contrast to see, you know, like their race shop where they've got, you know, the one cars lined up, there's checks everywhere, all this type of stuff. And then we come back to your next video, and your next video is you rattle canning, you know, the parts of the chassis that they had ground down to put new bars in and things like that. And it's like, it, you know, it shows you obviously, you know, how important it is for someone like you to continue racing. And it's, you know, obviously a big part of your life, but how big the gap is between, you know, what you do and what they do. And, you know, when you go somewhere like that shop, is it inspirational? Does it, you know, does it bring you down because you don't have those things? Like, how do you feel kind of walking through that shop like that?
It's overwhelming. But when you're there, you wish that you had, you know, 2 cars brand new, complete, sitting there, you know. But in my, there's a ton of thoughts that go through your head. They're positive and negative. But I see the car sitting there, and I see, you know, Eddie Carrier Jr. and the other guys putting bodies on the car, you know. And I asked Eddie, I'm like, do you ever get sick of building bodies? And he's like, no. And he is super sarcastic, you know. So I see all the work that went into putting them together that I don't have time to do, nor do I want to do. I have one car, so I feel blessed, you know, to be able to have the one car that I do have. But yeah, I wish that mine was sitting there ready to go. But, you know, in all reality, I have the same car that Brandon Shepherd's running. You know, I might not have the same motor that Brandon Shepherd's running, but I can have the same, you know, suspension, and I have the same exact design chassis that he has. So, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, perspective, I guess. I feel blessed to be able to have the car in my garage. I can walk out from my back door and walk out in the garage in my bare feet and work on a car.
While you're walking around in there, are you taking the GoPro and, like, you know, shoving it underneath the car, hoping to like catch some secrets? You know, is there anything to be learned while you're in there?
Down at Rocket?
Down at Rocket, yeah.
They had both their cars they ran this year. The bodies were completely torn off of them. The engines were out, and they were wide open for all to see. Nobody said anything like, don't shine the camera here. Steve Baker told me, he's like, film anything you want.
That's pretty cool. I am curious about the channel's kind of effect on your racing. And, you know, obviously I would imagine a lot more people know about who you are and probably approach you at the racetrack, but, you know, has it made it easier to get sponsors? Has it made it easier to sell merch? You know, what has that kind of overall effect on your racing been, you know, since you've, you know, got the YouTube channel going and really started kind of seeing it grow a little bit?
I don't want to sit here and lie and say that the sponsors are just rolling in. I'm not very good at marketing. You know, you think maybe I would be better at that, but the t-shirts and that sort of the online sales has definitely picked up, you know, since, you know, we have a presence online on YouTube. But as far as sponsors goes, the ones that we have, they enjoy the channel, you know, and maybe we're just now working on putting something together, you know, and looking at the analytics on the YouTube channel and seeing how many viewers we have a month and blah, 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 blah. And now we just have to execute that. But I'd say fans they're slowly starting to come up to us at the track. There's a dude from New Jersey that came, you know, to the track last year and said, "Hey, I seen you on YouTube," you know, and so that's pretty cool. But yeah, the online sales, it's definitely got a presence there, and the sponsors aren't, you know, sending me messages. You know, there's a few, definitely gained a few. That's for sure. But, you know, we're not buying new rigs and new race cars because the sponsors are beating down our doors.
One of the things that, you know, I like about your channel, and I'm sure a lot of other people like about your channel is, you know, you're open about things and, you know, like we kind of just talked about, but, you know, one of the things that happened to you this year is you effectively lose your ride because of, some business things and your car owner trying to focus on his own business. And you end up buying your own car and you came out and you said, like I had some issues, lost my ride. I got to buy a car. How difficult was that situation? And did it take you long to be like, you know what, I need to get a car. I need to get back in this. What did that process kind of look like?
It was a shocker because the car that I was going to drive, it was sitting there it had decals on it. The seat was in it. It was pretty much ready to go. And then it was like just the whole season changed. The rug was pulled out from underneath, and so you paused there for a minute. So I didn't know if we lost connection.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, what the heck are we going to do? I'm like, well, we don't have a car. Nobody's got a ride right now. So we'll put it out there that, we lost our ride, but, don't expect anything. And Amber and I were talking, over the course of a couple of weeks, and she's like, you got to buy a car. You got to get something. I'm like, we can't just, these late models to buy what I would want to get, it costs, tens of thousands of dollars to do it. I still had a motor from when I raced before. I had a motor and a truck and trailer, but we didn't have a place for the car, and we didn't have a car or a shop to work on it in. The machine shops long surpassed being able to house a car. It's full. So I got to thinking, and I think I surprised Amber, my wife, when I said, I think if we build onto our little shed out back, we can put a couple things from the garage out there, and I can put the car will fit in here and we can work on it. So then we started seeking out race cars, and a couple weeks later we found a car and made a deal and got it to the house. And I think that resonated with people on the channel, that I documented every step away and what I was feeling and what we were doing, and just being open with everybody as to what happened. And I think that really helped, grow the awareness of our channel and keep, fans and followers to coming back and seeing what's happening. And so that's basically what happened. We went up into Michigan 4 hours away and bought a car and brought it back and rolled it right in the garage without really anything to work on it with.
How much, in trying to get your own car and get to that point, you said you had a truck and a trailer, you said you had an engine, how much stuff did you have to acquire? I mean, tools, and, I would assume you had your own seat, but, how much parts and tools and things like that have you tried to, had to kind of build in now to be able to go run your own car?
Well, we had in the trailer, we had a toolbox, which was happened to be in my garage, that we had used in the past at the racetrack. But we had a few things. We still don't have everything that we need, that makes life easy. So still borrowing some things and using some fellow racers in towns, the shock smasher, their spring smasher and stuff. But I had an engine. So you think, yeah, you got an engine, you can just put it in the car and go racing. Well, no, I didn't have a carburetor. I didn't have headers. I didn't have, fuel pump, power steering pump, oil pump, just all these knickknacks. I didn't have wheels. I had to go out and buy, how many wheels did I buy? 10 wheels, and didn't have tires, didn't have, all this stuff is just adding up. And yeah, we had to buy, all kinds of knickknack stuff. And luckily, we've had supporters through the years and sponsors and things, that have been loyal and fans that stepped up and helped us out too, to get us put together into the track. It's definitely a big sacrifice for, a lot of people and my family.
Is it, now that the car is in your garage effectively, is it a little bit easier because, when you want to work on it, all you got to do is walk out the door?
Yeah, definitely easier. If I had a consistent crew guy that was passionate about it like me, I think it would make it even easier because, we'd hold each other accountable to be out there, and doing it. But now that I just put a heater in the garage. We never had heat in the garage. So I just put a heater out there. So that's going to make it more, what I want to say, it make it easier to walk out the back door in the winter, and work on it. It's definitely easier than having to go anywhere else to work on the race car.
In watching your videos and stuff, you race at Oakshade, Fremont, you talked about Attica, we've seen you travel to I-96 and Hilltop and all these places. When you're kind of looking around trying to decide where you're going to race, it doesn't seem like right now you're really chasing points anywhere, but how do you decide where and when to race? Is it just when your work schedule works out? Is it when the car is put together? How do you kind of decide right now when and where?
Well, this year was goofy for the coronavirus stuff, and two, for us losing our ride. So we just basically just went by the seat of our pants this year and just raced, Attica. Pretty much we stayed in Ohio, and we only raced 10 times. So, but in years past, when I was driving for the other guy, we went where it made sense, where maybe we could make a little money, or go to a place where we've never been before. We did a lot of the ethanol series races. So it's just what makes sense. So next year it's going to be more of the same. It's just going to be what makes sense financially. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to go to Eldora, and when I just sold my motor, so I don't even have an engine now. I'm looking to get another one. So it doesn't make sense to go down to Eldora with just one car, one engine, and go try to compete against the Shepherds and the Richardses and the Bloomquists, and stuff. But so yeah, we'll do a lot of local stuff, Attica, Oakshade, and hopefully try to go to some races where it pays, 3, 4, 5,000 to win races is what we'll try to hit.
As somebody like yourself, you've won track championships, you've won plenty of races. Is there something you want to do still? Would you like to have an opportunity to go run more big shows? Are you at a point where you're not so much worried about that? Like, what do you, as you look forward, what is something you'd like to be able to do?
Well, I'd like to be competitive with the best in the country in my backyard. That's basically the goals. Like when the summer nationals come to town, or when one of the bigger series come to town, I'd like to be competitive. Run with them. Beat them. Whatever. That's what it is. I've never really had to dream of traveling around the country and going to all these places. I remember when those guys I specifically remember, and I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but I remember Shane Clanton coming to Attica when the World Outlaws came, and maybe he had a bad night the night before, but he was just so grumpy. And, being on the road and traveling, and I'm sure that with traveling with the Outlaws and stuff, it's a vigorous, schedule and job to be able to do that. And it never really seemed that great to me to be able to go out and travel with the Outlaws or the Lucas Oil boys. And it seems weird to say that, but with all everybody's dream is to go and travel, but it never really appeared that great to me to do that.
So then, in kind of thinking along those lines too, what's next for the YouTube channel? Are there things that you haven't quite done that you want to do? Is there a certain look you would like to do? A certain video style? Like what's next for the Ryan Missler YouTube channel?
I see a lot more of the same. Just basically documenting what we're doing, and I didn't enter into it to make this big, wild, fancy, video series of, Ryan Missler Racing. I did it to do something different and grow a following and, show behind the scenes to everybody who would want to tune into something like that. So I'll just probably keep doing more of the same and be consistent with it. And yeah.
As you kind of look back over your videos, is there a moment that you maybe regret? Is there a moment that you're like, man, I really look stupid right there? Like, and in asking this, like, I'm I'm kind of trying to appeal to other people that might do something like this, and to understand that at certain points, like, you're going to do stupid things, you're going to say stupid things. And, in my own situation, I've asked stupid questions of people. Brad Sweet, I asked him about his son. Brad Sweet has a daughter. And I asked Tony Bachhoven, who is the announcer at Knoxville, about his 4-hour commute from Pella to Knoxville. But I asked it because, Pella is 15 minutes from Knoxville. But as I pulled it up on my phone to see how far away he was, I had walking directions up on my phone. and I'm curious, as you look back, like, do you have those moments where you're like, damn it, why did I do that?
I'm sure there's gotta be, I can't, pinpoint any one of those, but I do recall, like, looking back at some of the older videos, like when we're at the racetrack, people want to hear, what's going on in between the races. And some of the older videos we did, it goes right from heat race to feature, and there's like no in between. Like, why didn't they put it? I wish I would have, filmed the kids or, something in there, but there was no footage there. Nobody turned the camera on, and so I regret that. I wish we had more of, the personal interaction in the pit area or in the garage from back in the day. I would still to have some interaction from back in the mid 2000s of our garage, antics and stuff, but we don't have any of that. And talking to the people who might want to start this, I had a guy call me he just called me right before this, and I had to ignore it. I'll call him back, but he called me last week and he's going to start a podcast. And I told him, he's asked me all these technical questions, like, I need what equipment and all this stuff. I said, you just need to freaking start. Just start doing something consistently. And so that's point number one for advice. Number two is you can't give a shit what anybody says about what you're doing. And it's tough, well, I can't say that. What would so-and-so think? Or what would my dad think? Or what would my mom think? Or what would my sister think? I'm an idiot. And you just gotta, like, brush that shit off. You can't give a shit.
As you kind of, get ready now for 2021, hopefully things kind of get back to normal a little bit here, but what's your off season look like? And when do you kind of hope to be able to get back to the racetrack again?
We always shoot for the opener at Attica. It's in late March, and it usually doesn't happen. But when the opener does happen, that's usually our first race, unless it's going to be like a high of 40. And then we say, if we're not running for points, we're not doing that. It's just, that's too cold and it ain't fun and it's hard on the stuff. So, but we're just going to keep documenting and putting the car back together, from the bare frame that it is now, and, do it a little here, a little there, and film it and put it out there and get ready for March.
I love it. Well, I'll let you go on this. I certainly appreciate the time today, but where can everybody keep up with you? What's the YouTube channel? What's the social media accounts? Are there sponsors you want to reach out to you and say thank you? What's the kind of full rundown for people?
Yeah, so they can go, if they want to buy a shirt or any swag, and go to ryanmissler.com. We got all kinds of cool stuff on there. And the YouTube channel, and just search my name, Ryan Missler, and channel is just called Ryan Missler. And every social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's Ryan Missler.
Perfect. Well, Ryan, I certainly appreciate the time, and good luck with everything going forward.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Justin. It was fun.